Welcome, everybody, to the Full Vantage podcast. My name is Trevor, and this is Parker Manuel. We've been friends for a long time. This is your second time back to the show. So excited to have you back.
I'm very honored to be here.
Man, go Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, come on.
Go Bulls.
Big fan.
Big fan. A lot's happened in your life since last time we met.
Yes.
You lead a church community in Boulder, Colorado. You do a lot of work in the community. You restore houses on the side, and you help people. You're constantly thinking about growing. You're a good communicator, a great communicator, and you're just trying to constantly serve people where they are.
Yeah, thanks.
What are a few big things that have happened over this past few months in your life that you've been holding on to, or that have just happened, just fun things to catch people up, maybe even just to let them know, like, some things you've been thinking about?
Great. I mean, one significant thing is that in the last couple months, we finished a 2-year home renovation. And so if you've ever been in the middle of a home renovation while working at multiple jobs, you know that that's pretty stressful. But we finished that home renovation, which feels really nice. Home feels really nice. And then also you set a pastor as well. And over the last couple months, we've just been experiencing a lot of momentum and people finding a lot of freedom. You know, people are searching and they're finding that things that they are practicing in their day-to-day life aren't really meeting the expectation of what they hope to fulfill them and give them purpose and meaning. And so we have seen a huge increase of spiritually curious people flood through our doors at church. And that's been something that's really exciting as well. And you mentioned the business, but the business has been going really well. And trying to help people build their dreams in their home has been a lot of fun as well. So those are some of the big things. And for the first time in our life, this is huge, all of our kids are in school. And so, yeah, those are some of the big significant changes of our life. We feel like we got a lot of our time and energy back towards the things that we're most passionate about with our careers. So
That's awesome. So everyone needs to know this about you. You're an entrepreneur. You start things. You build things.
Yes.
And then you like to hand things off to others that are interested, or teach others and help them where they are, from starting businesses to a church community to building friendships in community. And so this conversation, I think, is going to be really important for us, because we are going to pursue the 5% of all conversations.
Yeah.
And if we pursue that level of conversation, we may just maybe find the 1% that people have. And so if you're listening to this, what I want to encourage you to do is I want to encourage you to think about the type of conversation that we're going to have and see how you can maybe even mirror it for your own lives.
That's great.
Take the content, maybe the things that we're going to talk about, apply. How does this apply to your life? But then how does the conversation flow? True. And how could you have a type of conversation like this with a friend or with somebody that's close to you or that you admire or that you look up to? And so we can do this on a regular basis. One of the things about Full Vantage Podcast is to get the vantage points of the people around us. And if we can get that in totality, in fullness, then we will live fuller lives, because we'll see our problems actually get solved and our dreams actually become reality. So what are the biggest, I want to say pain points, but one of the biggest problems, give me 2 or 3 huge problems that you've been seeing lately, just in the world around you.
Biggest problems? You know, we do meet with a lot of people that share a lot of their problems and a lot of their deepest pain points. And there are some trends. I would say one trend is finances is a struggle right now for a lot of people, and struggling to feel like they can find a way ahead, a road ahead, and save for a house, or save for their future, save for their kids' college. And so financial instability, I would say, would be one trend that I'm seeing with a lot of people. And this is obviously, I would say, a close second, but stress and anxiety. I feel like almost everyone I talk to deals with a high level of stress and anxiety. And I would say about half of those would say that they deal with significant depression. Especially, we work with a lot of young adults, college young adults, and I would say Gen Z and millennials, research tells us that they self-identify, 6 out of 10 self-identify as having really high and unstable stress and anxiety levels. And I would say that number is fairly accurate, if not more. Partially, I would say because of finances, but also I would say because of not really having a team around them to go through a lot of the challenges that they're having and feeling isolated and alone. One of the questions I ask when I meet with people, who's walking in this out with you? Who's doing this with you? Are you alone on this journey, or who have you told about this? And I find that they're not really being that vulnerable, and they don't really feel like they have a lot of those relationships where they can tell people where they're at. And so that's always one of my encouragements is, hey, you need to bring somebody along on the journey with you, because you shouldn't do this on your own. And then I would say finances, and then I would say just an overall stress and anxiety kind of around their life and around their career, especially with Gen Z and millennials. I would say they're feeling behind in a lot of those areas. And then I would say probably the third thing, which this is a bigger conversation, but a third thing that I'm realizing with a lot of the people that I'm talking to that they're finding themselves stressed out is they've really never taken the time to look and say, like, what is my worldview? What do I value? What do I believe in? And when pressed on with really high level questions and intentional, like, curiosity and thinking, they're unable to answer what I would say is some of the most significant questions that, if you want to live a life that's flourishing and thriving and feel good, you want to be able to answer these questions really well, and they simply can't. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but they lack I would say, a really strong worldview and clear values. But those are some of the factors that I see.
Something that's frustrating me lately is when somebody, they put themselves in a financial position that they don't know why they've done it. Mm-hmm. Whether the financial position is good or bad, they don't know why they've done that thing, or they haven't thought it through, or what it could do for them. And the reason it's frustrating for me is because I want to actually help them. But what you see when someone that's really going through a financial situation that is difficult, specifically Gen Z, or specifically, it may not even be an age thing, but I'm seeing even that Gen Z millennial. The issue is we haven't thought it through. How did I get here? Why am I doing this? Like, do you know how you're going to be able to pay for that? Mm-hmm. Or what are you going to do to invest in now what you've gotten? Mm-hmm. What are some, because I don't, I think I'm not a financial advisor. I know you're not necessarily, but people do come to us with this problem on a regular basis because we lead communities. We build community. We have friends. That's what you just said. It's the whole point of having circles around you. Yeah. What are some key things that are practical when you think financially? Like, what did you learn about finances that changed your life?
Yeah, I think people allow finances to tell them how to live their life instead of them telling their finances how they want to live their life. And so they're very reactive as it comes to their finances, whether it's the career path you take and the things you go after, and more importantly, how you spend your money. I mean, most people that I talk to that are in a financial strain don't operate on a budget. I know it sounds very Dave Ramsey of me right now just to say, what are we doing? but they don't operate on a budget, and nobody's taught them how to operate on a budget. We already know that they're not teaching you how to create a budget and how to live on a budget in school, and most parents aren't teaching their kids how to do this. I mean, have you talked to anybody that said, my parents sat me down and taught me how to build a budget? No. And I don't think that even parents and wise counsel are giving younger generation people wise counsel in student debt. And so you have the Gen Z and millennials coming out of school with $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 of student debt that they have no idea how they're going to pay back. And they're not operating on a budget. And they also like to have fun with their friends. This is the dilemma. They want to have some extra spending money to go out. And so I think all of those coming together, I think whenever you work with that younger generation, and at least when I have, and I've counseled them on, hey, let's talk about building a budget and living within your means. Then let's set some goals, career-wise, that you could take that would help increase your wealth. And when you start doing those things, when you start living on a budget and living within your means, and then you set some clear goals for the future of how you want to increase that, it's not going to money's not going to magically just show up in your bank account. You got to have a plan. You got to have a work for it. You got to have a strategy. And so those are the things that I tell people. First of all, as a follower of Christ, I'm a believer in the tithe. So from a financial perspective, I believe in generosity towards the kingdom of God. And so from that standpoint, I would just say, are you being generous or are you living stingy? People that I know live generous, serve people well, tend to be people that don't have struggles in financial situations as often. That's what I've noticed. People that live incredibly greedy and stingy tend to have more struggles in my experience. But I would say be generous and then be obedient to what God's calling you to do. Then I would say live on a budget and then, work with somebody further down the road than you to set a clear path for you forward. Anytime I was looking ahead at a career I wanted to be in or like real estate or contracting or pastoring, I didn't just think to myself, okay, well, I really hope this opportunity comes for me. And if it does, I'm anxious. No, I didn't do that. I looked for people that were around that were doing a really, really good job at those things. And I served them. How can I serve you? How can I serve you? How can I serve you? And those people would bring me in and mentored me. And then as I began to get mentored, opportunity came open. I grew in my leadership. Opportunity in construction came available for me, and people started to refer me because now I'm learning trades. And so even from a career standpoint, I would say you can't sit around and you just hope something's going to happen, but you got to come under somebody further down the road than you, ask really good questions. Like, I tell this to young leaders all the time. If you haven't taken somebody out to lunch or coffee that's further along than you and ask them intentional questions about how, get advice about what they're doing, I don't truly believe that you want to grow in that area. A $5 coffee for 30 years worth of experience in a career path that you want to go in, a $15 dinner for somebody, a $20 dinner for somebody that if you get advice from this person, you never know the connections and relationships they could open up for you. What are we doing? And I don't know. What do you think the blocker is from a younger generation not seeking that wisdom and leaning in for their future and just kind of hoping something happens for them? Have you felt that, or have you seen that before?
Do you think it's avoidance? Do you think it's not even thinking about it? Or, go ahead.
I think it is. Okay. When I bring it up to people, it's almost like
I've never even thought about that.
I've never even thought of that.
Yeah, but Parker, it must be nice for you. Like, it must be nice. I mean, you're really good at all these things. Your parents taught you this. Like, you've never been through anything hard or difficult when it comes to finances.
I have. I was over $100,000 in debt. And
hold on. Just say that one more time for the person in the back.
I was over $100,000 in debt. When me and my wife got married, and we were really trying to make a plan of how we were going to become debt-free. We looked at our finances, and with our student loan debt and with cars and with everything, we were over $100,000 in debt. And so at that point, we made a decision that we were going to get out of debt. And so we did the Dave Ramsey to a degree. We did it. We did a Dave. We did a Dave Ramsey plus.
Okay, what's the to a degree? Like, explain
So-
that. Like, you did less than Dave Ramsey, or you did more than just Dave Ramsey?
So
This is a Dave Ramsey plug right now.
we did the whole plan. So we did the snowball effect. We had our emergency fund, and we were working on chipping away the debt and the hedgehog principle. So one credit card at a time. So we lived like nobody so that one day we could live like nobody. So yeah, we decreased everything. We lived in a house that had squirrels and mice. And at one point the ceiling literally caved down. She sent me a video where the ceiling caved in because it didn't have a roof on the backside. So yeah, that's how we lived for a season. While we were working multiple jobs. I worked 3 jobs. She worked several jobs as well while we were starting businesses. But we had a plan. We were starting businesses. We had never started businesses before. We were learning from people that were further ahead than us. And the Dave Ramsey Plus model that we did is, Dave Ramsey says, pay off all your debt and save for so you can pay cash for a house. We didn't do that. We ended up buying a house during that time. We renovated and flipped the house. 2 years later, we sold it, so we didn't have to pay capital gains. And then we made a profit, took that profit, invested it in a new property while we're still pursuing all these other jobs, and completely gutted and flipped that house. And at the end of that house flip, through a miracle of God, this is about a 6-year journey for us, failing countless times in the business, but growing the business. And she had a different business that she was failing and growing in as well, because that's a part of the journey. And at the sale of that second home, we were able to provide enough to become completely debt-free with money in the bank. And then that's kind of how our journey began to debt-free and entrepreneurship. So we took all of those lessons that we learned, now debt-free, into our future. And so still debt-free. And now our hedgehog is not how do we stay debt-free, but our drive now is how can we build generational wealth for our family. And so we have big dreams and goals and expectations for that as well.
Can I tell you why I think most don't think about it? Because the pain isn't painful enough yet. I think even for my own life,
Wow.
it wasn't difficult enough for me to ask somebody or to reach out for help. And I think there's only 2 ways that we get to dead ends. One, we arrive there, and there's nowhere to go. And we have to knock on someone's door and say, how do I get out of here?
Yeah, help.
Okay, I got to ask for help. Or I get my eyes up a little bit, and I use other people's experiences and other people's knowledge to realize that I'm actually headed toward a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it coming my way, and I ask for help. You have to be aware of the dead end, or you won't realize that you're not headed towards more life. You're headed toward a dead end, which isn't more life, which isn't more freedom. And so, dude, you just described it. What was your dead end moment? Was it like, see what I'm saying? Like, it took you. You didn't see the dead end when you were signing off on that, all of that money that you were going to have to owe. You didn't see it then because you signed off on it. You were willing. Yeah, well, this is fine. This is what people do.
It'll all work out.
It'll all work out. Must be nice.
Yeah.
But it's not that case.
No.
It is not. What was your dead end like?
The dead end was when we were looking at how much debt we had and how much money we were bringing in, and we said, if we don't change something right now, we're not going to live the life that we're called to live. We're not going to fulfill the purpose and meaning that we have in our life.
Right.
We're going to be a slave to the lender for the rest of our life. And we wanted a different story for us and for our kids one day. You know, we didn't have kids then, but we were thinking one day we want a different story for our generations to come. And so we had to shift our mindset from a poverty mindset and a victim mindset of how, well, this is the system, the system shoved me into this, and now I'm on the other side, and now I'm a victim. We had to get our head out of that. We had to get our head out of a poverty mindset of, well, this is just going to be the rest of our life.
Right.
We're going to be poor,
Right.
and we're going to be in debt. And we had to come to a moment where we agreed, we were in full alignment. We said, this is not going to be our story. We're going to do what it takes. We're going to change our life around, and we're going to enjoy the journey. And so we made it a game. To us, it was like a game. It was something exciting. Every time we would pay off a credit card or pay something off, we would go to a steak dinner. Which is not the Dave Ramsey way, because he doesn't say, blow a ton of money when you pay a credit card off. But sometimes you got to celebrate,
I don't think sometimes. I think you always need to celebrate.
I think you always got to celebrate those
enough.
moments.
We need to celebrate the smallest things.
100% agree.
The smallest habit changes.
100% agree.
That doesn't mean you have to go spend money, but you can throw a party without spending money.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't take much.
Yep. And so, yeah, that was my dark moment that led to the shift of us saying that we're not going to do this anymore, and we made a decision. And I don't think a lot of people come to that decision that just says, I'm going to put my head down and do whatever it takes, and I'm not going to stop, no matter what.
What made you say? What made you say, I want a different story? Because I don't know if people feel the freedom to even say that. What if someone's like, these are the cards I've been dealt.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help somebody with that? How do we create different stories? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I agree, because
That's a very abstract thought.
I agree.
But I hear it being a huge point in your journey.
Yeah. We were blessed enough to have people in our lives to speak vision into our future. And so there was, for me, I had people that believed in me, that saw big things in my life and in the future. And I believed it. And I knew that if I continued in the way that I was going, I was not going to be able to achieve the vision that not only they had over my life, but really that I had for my life. And there's a lot of people that don't have that. Somebody looking at them and say, man, God's got something big for your life. Or, man, I see this big future. Or has anybody ever told you that you're really good at this thing? And so I would say, if people are watching that don't have people that are speaking that into their life, that just don't have a vision for their future, you have to catch a vision for something bigger for your future. And it can't just be wealth, and it can't just be success, but something bigger for your future that has purpose and meaning behind it, that says, if I can help pull myself out of this, and I can find freedom in these other areas of my life, then I get to live with my full potential and my freedom. I get to spend more time with my kids. I get to create memories with my friends. I get to advance the causes and the things that I'm very passionate about. Well, you can only do that if you catch a vision for your future. Catch a vision for your future, and then you work backwards.
Where does someone catch that?
Well, I would say you got to be careful. If you're catching a vision for your future on your own, that's dangerous. In my personal opinion. I wanted this thing, so I chased after it, so I did everything I had to do to achieve my vision. What if your vision has a few flaws? Yeah. What if the vision that you have comes with some unhealthy motivation? And so I would say you can be inspired by anything to catch a vision, but I would say if you want that vision to be sustainable and have purpose and meaning, you have to bring in people on the journey to help speak into that vision with you. Would be advice that I would give somebody that doesn't really seem to be able to catch a vision for their future. Who's somebody that you admire? Why? Why do you admire that person that's 10, 20, 30 years down the road than you? What is it about that vision that captivates you? All right, now set up a meeting with them and talk to them about how they got there.
I love that. I think it's really important for everyone to know. One of the ways that you find a good friend is if that friend has a bigger vision for your life than you do.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Bigger and better.
I agree.
More full.
Mm-hmm.
more love, more life, more excitement, more joy. And
It's a good word.
I think that's how we know we have we may have a best friend, is if we have that. And I think we can have more than one best friend, but if we can have a few that have that kind of vision for our life. Could you be that best friend for a second? For someone that's listening?
Yeah.
Could you model what that person would do and say as if someone has modeled it to you?
Yeah.
Like practically, how does that person sound? What are the questions they ask? Because humans create futures.
I agree.
I firmly believe that. I've been thinking and studying and listening to a lot about what it means and the essence of being a human. And one of the things that humans create that makes us human is that we're able to forecast. We're able to see what isn't there. We're able to think about what doesn't exist yet. We're able to position ourselves on what may need to be in our world and in the world around us.
Yeah.
And so could you be that friend for a second?
Yeah, that would be
for
great.
someone that's listening?
Yeah, that would be great. I would just tell you that if you're feeling stuck in a place in life where you know this isn't where you're fulfilling your full potential in life, I would say get out. Get out of that position. If you're in an environment with friends right now that you feel like are pulling you down and are not doing exactly what you said, and they're not propelling you into the future that you have to change your atmosphere. You have to change your relationships. Get out from being stuck. You don't have to be stuck. I would say that there is more in you than you realize. That for you, I would say not that you have just more potential, but I would say that you actually have the skill, the talent, and the resources necessary for you to take this next step into the next chapter of your life that advances you where you feel led and called to go. You're being too hard on yourself. You've allowed the negativity of culture and the negativity of a few voices, not the masses. You've allowed the negativity of a few voices to dictate the vision and the future that you have for yourself. You've allowed the box that people have put you in for your whole life to shrink your vision down to say, I guess I can just do this one thing. You're more than one thing. And you're more than low capacity. You're more than what everybody has said you are. I know you have dreams. I know you have, even if it's deep down, you have a seed of a vision for your future. Deep down, you have somebody that you look to and you admire, even if you don't even know why. You admire them. Why do you admire them? Write it down. Visualize that as your future. And even now, as I'm saying that, I feel like there's people that are saying no, but they had it different than me. No. You choose your future. You dictate your future. You have an opportunity to make a decision today that changes your future for the rest of your life. Whether it's removing something from your life, adding a new relationship to your life, or even if today the only step you take is catching a vision for your future, you have an opportunity to make a decision today that will literally change the course for the rest of your life. Don't get stuck. Get around environments of people that'll champion that vision for your life. And always know that you're not alone. You're not doing it on your own. God is with you. And He has an even bigger vision and future for your life. Beyond anything that you could ask, think, or imagine. If you want to understand your future, and I believe if you want to understand not just your future, if you want to understand your future, you got to understand who you are. And how you are uniquely designed and how God uniquely made you. And how to understand how you're uniquely designed and how God uniquely made you, you got to know God.
Okay, so How,
That's incredibly life-giving for me, by the way.
yeah.
I wish I could just jump through the camera and talk to that person. Just shake them for a minute. Do you have any idea
Yeah.
how amazing
Yeah.
you are?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea
Yeah.
what you're capable of? I tell people all the time, you're just getting started. And they're like, no, I feel like I'm dead. I'm like, no. You're just getting started.
Yep.
God's got a big plan for your future.
You get emotional when
Yeah,
you start leaning into that.
I agree.
Where does that come from?
Every single thing that I said is coming from a real conversation that I've had with people.
And I think what people need to realize is it's a real conversation that people have had with you.
And it's a real conversation people have had with me. It's painful to see people see less of themselves than God sees of them. Sure. It's painful for people to see less of their future than I see of them. I just want to ask them, who told you couldn't do that? Who told you couldn't achieve that, and why? What lie did you allow to sow into your soul and you've watered over the years that needs to be uprooted, and why? And I guess I'm passionate because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't have really good friends that speak high vision and blessing and future and point them to Jesus. They have friends that affirm their negative thoughts, that gossip. They have friends that sow other seeds of doubt. And they have friends that honestly are not interested in their future at all, and that talk to themselves the whole time they're together. You got to get away from those people. It's okay to cut people like that from your life. It's actually more than okay. I would say address it with your friend, and if they don't change their behavior, I would say it's necessary for you to cut those people from your life and put the people around you that'll build you up. What's the best way to do that? And this is just a thought. I have a thought here, but I'd love to hear your thought. What's the best way for somebody right now who says, everything you just said, I don't have that friend. I don't have people doing that for me. What do I do? What would you say would be their next step in maybe finding those relationships?
I think one of the best ways for me is to learn how to talk to strangers. This is an interesting thought. I think we need to learn how to value others.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be difficult for us to find or even identify those that pour into us if we don't start serving and pouring into others.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, because how will I know what that person looks like or who they are if I don't first become that?
Yeah.
Or learn how to become that, or learn what that even looks like. I would say, if you're in a city and you don't know where to find those people, what's something that you can get behind and serve so that you can begin to see? Because if you're looking for those people, that is somewhat selfish. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay because you're trying to better yourself.
Yeah.
But for me to get my eyes up off of me and to see others, I need to serve them and help them with things that actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Building a community, helping impoverished, or helping people that are struggling, helping people that are going through it. You just may end up serving alongside your best friend that you needed, that came in time for such a time as this.
I agree.
I would say that's the most practical thing I can say for someone to do.
Yeah.
Is if you're looking for someone, start serving where they would serve.
Mm-hmm.
Start doing the things that they would do.
Yep. How many people do we meet, strangers-wise? And we say, how are you? Good. Man, I love this place. And then the conversation ends there, often. A shallow connection. Don't really take it to another level. When I look back over seasons of my life, I was having this conversation with my son recently. When I look over seasons of my life, I had best friends in high school and good core group. I had really good friends in college, core group, good friends in Tennessee, just brothers, lifelong brothers, us. And then here now in Colorado, I'm building that as well. That just deep friendships. They didn't magically happen. I was talking to my son about this, and I said, how it happened is the friend that you want is the friend that you become for others. That's how it works. Is if you want somebody to ask you intentional questions and be curious about your life, go be that for others. Now, where you'll find where the friends come in is whenever you're doing that for somebody, and then all of a sudden they start doing that back at you, well, that might be a good friend.
Yeah, someone who reciprocates.
Someone who reciprocates and says, oh, thanks. I know we spent this whole coffee talking about me. Want to get together again in a couple weeks? I want to hear your story. And if they follow through with that, it could be a good friend.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think what's important is I don't want to miss this because, I see your eyes, when you talk vision over someone's life, even if someone that you don't know, right? Someone that's listening to this, they don't know. You change and you start pulling from a source that is really internal, and it's from your heart, and you're not just saying things, you're actually feeling them, and you're envisioning them for whoever them is, whoever they is listening. And your eyes swell up, and you could almost cry because you're so emotional because it matters to you so much.
Yeah.
Why does it matter to you so much?
I would say for me, because everyone has value. I believe that every person on earth was created in the image of God. And that gives them beautiful, intrinsic just value from birth to the earth. I don't care what age you are. I don't care what color you are, what background you come from. You have beautiful value because you're created in the image of God. And that value is what I'm most interested in. What is that beauty in you? What is that uniqueness in you? What is that vision that you have for your future and for your life? And how can we attach meaning to that through living out the assignment God has for you? And so the core of that for me is at the foundation that every single human being on the planet has deep value. I believe that to the core of who I am. And if they have deep value, well, then that should matter to me as well. A foundation of my faith is in the first two commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Therefore, if I'm going to live out what I say I believe, and I believe everyone has value, then my next responsibility after loving God is to love people well. Yeah. Now, how do I love people well? Well, I reject the lies of the enemy that wants to seek, kill, steal, and destroy their life. So when I hear somebody say a lie that says, oh man, no, I could never do that, or man, it's just really hard. Like I see you did it, but you're different. I say, okay, first, do you realize there's an enemy who wants to steal, kill, and destroy your life, first of all? And he's speaking lies to you right now. So I want to speak truth into your future and truth into your life. I'm passionate about seeing people delivered from the lies of the enemy and seeing them set free to live out their full potential. When you see people make that crossover, it's like the best drug it's like the most addictive drug you could possibly imagine. You're like, I just want to do this for the rest of my life. Sure. And then you see them go and flourish in life, have a family maybe, raise their kids, and then you get people, which it doesn't happen often, but you get those people that come back and just say, hey, remember that one time you took me out for coffee and you said this? Remember that one time you poured into me for that season and you said this? Changed my life.
Okay, so you quoted the Bible a few times there. Mm-hmm. And then you had a spiritual thought that talked about the enemy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, good job, Parker. You quoted the Bible and you talked about the enemy. That's what a good pastor would do. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. That was great. That was great. But you didn't believe that just because you read it. Mm-mm. I think that's something that I think it's really important. So when did you first experience? Do you remember who actually modeled it and told you were of value?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember who that person was and what happened
Absolutely.
in you? Could you maybe describe that experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think people are hungry for that. I think, and yes, I think words do matter
I agree, yeah.
a lot, and I love the words that you've just shared. But like, must be nice, Parker.
Yeah, you have that.
But it didn't just come from a good idea that you had.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you're of value? Who told you that?
So at the very beginning, first time I heard it was from my mom. I remember her laying in my bed whenever I was a kid and praying vision over my future. And she would look at me and say, with tears in her eyes, she would say, God has big plans for your life. You can't even imagine all God wants to do. And when that's implanted in you as a child, that many times, you start to believe it. And so for me, my story is that I did have my mom. I just remember that moment in particular, my mom saying that. But then in addition to that experience with my mom, I believe that there does have to come a time where you have that vision for yourself, where you actually say, okay, this is what people have said about me. Is it true? Could I actually achieve that? And I would say, yes, my mom, other people who have affirmed certain things in my life, but I would say even beyond that is, like you mentioned earlier, getting your perspective and your eyes off of yourself long enough just to say, who am I really? Who am I really? Strip away the things that I either am good at or not good at. Strip away my past experiences. Okay, I don't even have friends to even encourage this in my life. So then who am I really? If at the end of that question, you can't have a good, solid identity statement and a good, solid identity answer to who you are really to build from, then I would say you have to go back and you have to start there. Who am I really? Does this even matter? Even if I had a vision, why does that even matter? I don't even know who I am. I believe a lot of the vision for your future starts with a core identity of who you are as an individual.
And then it's easy from there.
Yeah. Where do you go without a core identity of who
Sure.
you are?
Sure.
How do you build a future from there?
No, yeah. But, your life's been super easy from that moment is what I'm saying, right? Cupcakes and butterflies, is that what they say? I don't know. Is it right? Like it's super easy from there. I know who I am. I know where I'm headed. Smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, it's actually kind of been up and to the right. No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
No.
sure.
No, it's been countless attacks.
Sure.
That's why when you get an attack, and that's why when I'm asking people questions, I'm looking for the attack, but I already know where the attack is going.
Sure.
Whatever lie someone has told somebody or whatever thing that they think they're not achieving, the attack isn't going towards what they did. The attack is going to their identity. Always. It's not that I messed up. It's not that I'm achieving the career. It's not that I'm not hitting my mark. It's I am messed up. I am broken. It is an identity issue that people are more so wrestling with than I believe they realize.
Okay, so as people go through difficult things, you could call them attacks, you could call them obstacles, you could call it just difficulties, hard times.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I love this, thinking through like how hard times make tough people. And then that whole idea of well, you can actually choose something hard. You can choose your hard, or hard will choose you. But you can choose the hard things that you're going to go through and the difficult things you're going to go through. And if you can learn how to do those by choice, then you will have some stalwartness and steadfastness that you'll be able to see it through. Okay, how would you help somebody go through hard times? How does somebody go through hard times and on the other side of it, not love it, not even be remotely, they don't have to say like, oh, I'm even thankful for that, but understand those hard times value and what they got out of it. Or like they could see it, but say, it was used for good. Something really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Wasn't easy. Wouldn't want it on anybody. Don't want to go through it again. But something came out of it. How do we go through hard times?
The reality is hard times are inevitable for everybody. So there could be a lot of people even watching right now that's saying life is good. I'm actually in a good season. Things feel great. All humanity, no matter where you're from, no matter how successful you are, how much wealth you have, everyone experiences hard times and difficult seasons. So the question isn't whether or not we're going to go through them, but how we're going to go through them. What's our perspective going to be through the difficult times? And what do we want on the other side? So those are just thoughts and questions that I talk through with people is, what are you experiencing during this hard time? What emotions are you have? How does this make you feel? This thing that you're going through, how does it make you feel? Do you feel hopeless? Now, once we can kind of identify certain emotions and once we can kind of work through where people are actually at, yeah, here's what I'm going through. Maybe here's why. And here's my heart in it and my emotions in it, then I can say, okay, great, we can work from there. And we can try to help build hope, and we can build a vision, and we can give you tools to help work through these difficult times. But everyone honestly is different. So I would say that working through hard times there's no silver bullet as to this is how you walk with someone through hard times. Because you could say, well, you just be with people. People don't need you to fix them. They just need you to be with them. Well, sometimes people need you to say, you're thinking wrong. Sometimes people don't just need you to sit with them. Sometimes they need you to say, hey, you may be thinking wrong here. Or if you're having bad habits, caught an addiction or bad behavior, you need somebody to say, hey, if you don't stop making these choices, you're going to continue down this road and it's going to continue to be really bad for you. And so, you can't just say, well, just be with people, sit with people. People just need you to listen. They need you to listen. Yes. Also, where's wisdom? Where is wise counsel? Where is challenging friendships? Where is friendships that speak into your life and say the hard things? I would rather have somebody that was close to me say something hard in my life than somebody I didn't know. I'd rather them speak the truth in my life and say, hey, I'm noticing this in your life. And I believe that this is not who you are, but this is what you're saying, or this is how you're acting. And I want to walk with you on how we can overcome that together. We can work through that together. So I would say there's definitely no silver bullet. Listening is a part of it. Addressing key issues is a part of it, and helping. But I don't want friends that fix me. Okay, well, if you're not willing to receive advice from friends that love you, if a friend is correcting you from a bad behavior that you have or speaking truth into your life over a lie you're believing, what does that friend have to gain? You get mad at them? They have nothing. That's the beauty of a close friend coming to you, speaking truth into your life, is the only thing they have to gain is the possibility that you're going to get mad with them about this confrontation and not want to talk to them anymore. It's still a loss for them. The only thing they have to gain is to see you excel further in your vision and the future for your life and a better life to work through that hard time. I would also say working through it is helping people. How do you walk with people through hard times? You help people shift their perspective of the situation that they're in and take them to a higher perspective of the bigger story on the other side. What is it that God wants to teach you in the storm? And how might God want to use you on the other side of the storm?
That is exactly what I would say. I would narrow it down to one word. Are you ready to learn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Learn.
Yeah.
It's time for you to learn.
Yeah.
It's time for you to learn.
Yeah.
And maybe even a more pointed question is, do you have who you need in your life to help you not just get through it, but thrive on the other side of it?
Mm-hmm.
I have people coach me all the time, and they don't even know they're coaching me.
Yep.
I have people I've never met that I'm learning from,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm listening to, that I am seeing, and they're helping me.
Yeah.
And then I have people that I'm really, really direct with and saying, hey, you have helped me through this, and you're helping me in it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to know, and I'm thankful for you.
Yeah.
And then I have people that I bring the questions that I'm struggling with too, and they're able to be there for me in that as well. And so there's just so many layers to learning.
I agree.
But if you're willing to learn, then you can become who you need to be.
I agree.
To see differently, to think differently.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance everything that you do? I think so. Like, so many people are asking the question is, what does it mean to balance, like, your work and your life? Because you got a lot of life you're trying to live, and you got a lot of work you got to do.
Yeah.
How do you even balance it all?
That's a great question. I want to give one final thought to this, how to overcome struggles, if I can. I like whenever I'm walking with people and how to overcome a difficult time or a struggle that they're in, I like to view it through the lens. Imagine kind of a framework, if you will. And on one side, you have this struggle. And then on the other side, you're living a thriving, flourishing, healthy life. Through that framework, as I'm working them through that, I like to think of the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual aspects of how to get them from where they are to where they're called to be. So I say, emotionally, how do you feel? You're sad? Okay. Mentally, how are you? Man, I've been struggling with anxiety. I've been struggling with this. This stresses me out. Okay, let's talk about that. Physically, are you okay? Have you been eating well? No, I've been eating McDonald's every day and double quarter pounders of fries. Okay, let's talk. Okay, that's great. All right. Spiritually.
And I can't sleep.
Sure. Spiritually, how do you feel? What does that even mean? Okay. Now we have a full picture of how we can walk together on health here, because it's never just one thing. There's always a component of an emotional attachment, maybe, or maybe something mentally that stresses them out that is causing an emotional attachment, or maybe they have a physical thing that they have an addiction that they haven't told you about yet that's causing them to be emotionally unstable and have mental disorder and feel distant from God. So I would just say, like, if you're walking with people through that journey, you have to see the full totality of their life, and you can't just get honed in on one thing. And then that's how I help walk with people, is by seeing the bigger picture of how to get to health. We want people to be healthy emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, not just in one area.
Why do all the areas matter?
They're all the totality of who you are.
Because that's what makes up you.
It's what makes up you. And if I'm trying to get to you and I'm only talking about your emotions, that's pretty fickle. If I'm trying to get to know you, but I'm only talking to your brain, well, that's too logical. If I'm only talking about your metaphysical, your body, then that's just too metaphysical. That's just, okay, so you're not eating well, but how is that affecting? They all matter because they're all connected. Even just with biological basic research, we know that our gut is directly connected to our brain, which affects our whole body and our emotions. So I would just say, as someone who is even like going through a hard time, without somebody that walks you through this journey, why not do a self-analysis on yourself in those 4 categories to see where you truly are, so that you can know in each area where you want to be.
So say I do an assessment on myself, and I think through those questions, and I maybe even, draw it on a piece of paper, and I try to figure it out, and I write it, I fill it in.
Yeah.
Emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual, like how I feel and where I'm at in those things. Well, okay, great. What do I do from there?
You identify it. I would say that we are, a trend I'm seeing is that we're saying we're self-aware, but yet we're not actually taking the time to get alone with ourselves with no distractions to actually articulate exactly how we feel, how we're thinking, how our body's responding, and what our relationship is with God. We're just not taking the time to do it. We may go on a walk, we may do a meditation session, or whatever people are doing. We may go on a long run, but we're not actually taking the time to sit with ourselves in our thoughts and emotions, feel what we're actually feeling, and articulate it to identify it. How are you supposed to better something you don't even know the condition it's currently in? It's like if I'm trying to remodel a car, but I don't even know what condition it's in. How do I know that it's even going to be better if I make it better?
Right.
But if you
could
can,
be messing something up.
You could be messing something up. But if I identify where I am in all of those categories, then I would say you have to, I love this statement, I heard it from Pastor Rich, but identify your seasons so that you can set your rhythm. Okay, the season that I'm in is this. Now, in these areas, I'm going to change my rhythm. So in these areas, I can become more healthy, and then I'll establish disciplines based on those rhythms. Very practically, I would say, okay, not feeling joyful. Well, I've only been getting 6 hours of sleep, haven't been hydrating well, haven't been doing any exercise lately, so I'm going to start there first. I've been eating like garbage. I'm going to start there first. I haven't gone to church in a while. I'm going to try church out this Sunday. And then now you're around people, which is great, and you're leaning into like the Word of God, and so now I'm that's a habit that I'm forming now, but now I'm eating better again, and I'm actually going to sit for just a few minutes, and I'm going to journal my thoughts. Now I'm getting my emotions down on paper for my mental space. Instead of having a lot of open doors in my mind, I'm actually going to write out a to-do list for this next week and things that I can check off so I can actually close some doors in my mind. And then you start to very practically build systems and rhythms and tools for your life that are sustainable to get you towards health versus staying stuck in where you are in your unhealth. But like I said, you can't build any of those rhythms and you can't install those disciplines if you haven't first identified where you actually are and why.
I don't think people can do it on the first question that they ask themselves. Because I've heard and I've seen it been said that you've got to ask really yourself why 3-ish times. So like, I feel this. Why? Because of this happened. Well, why?
That's great.
Because this is where it began in my past.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's like, oh, then if I ask it about 3 times, then I can get to just ask why 3 times.
That's great.
Why do you feel this? Why do you feel that? Well, why did you start feeling that?
Make it practical.
Why do you think
feel
that?
Anxious?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm afraid that if I don't get it done, or I'm afraid of the unknowns. I'm afraid that if I get to there, I'm not going to be able to pull it off. Why do you feel like you're not going to be pulled off? Well, maybe because I feel like I haven't been able to pull it off in the past. Yeah, why do you feel that? Well, because somebody spoke
What if I fail?
over me that if I fail, or I've watched my dad fail or my mom fail, and I don't want to end up like that.
Yeah, I can't
so
be a
you
failure.
don't want to be like that.
Oh, so you've got.
Oh, okay.
So you're attaching your worth to what you accomplish,
Yeah.
and we're more than what we do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that's helpful. Now I can get somewhere with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I am more than what I do. Then it informs my future.
Yeah.
Because now I'm setting a standard of value of like, oh yeah, I am more than what I do. So I don't need to be anxious of this. Because the idea is to fail as many times as possible.
Yeah.
So I can figure out not how to do it wrong, but it took me doing it wrong 1,000 times before I could do it right once.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that Thomas Edison?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, that's the whole idea. It's like,
I'm
oh
a big
yeah.
fan of failing forward.
Yeah. Failing forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's really good. And, as you, back to that question,
Yeah.
as we kept, nailing in deeper and deeper into how do I overcome hard times, I think one of the ways that we overcome it is thinking about how we manage it
Yeah.
and balance it. That's the question I'm
Yeah,
seeing
I
a lot.
agree.
It's like,
Same.
well, how do I balance?
Yeah. Same.
You know, the jobs, plural,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that I love, plural.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and this life that I'm trying to live,
It's a lot.
both with them and in light of the calling and mission that I'm on.
Yeah.
When it comes to work. So what is balance? If someone says, man, I'm really having trouble balancing my life, or I'd like to learn how to balance it more, what does that mean to you?
It's an interesting question because this, I would say, is in probably the top 5 conversations that people are having today. I would say this is in the top 5 areas of how people are making their decisions of careers, jobs they take, whether or not they have 2 or 3 kids. You know, I think this is high level thought that everyone's asking this question and processing, and I think that the answer is not very simple. So I would say work-life balance, yes and no. Yes, spend time with your friends and loved ones and your family. Yes, you know, give all that you have for work in the time that you have it. But if you simply live this kind of systematic, rigid life where it's just going to look the same every day, every week, every month, every year for the rest of my life because I'm a work-life balance person, I'm just going ahead and telling you, you're going to miss opportunities that came their way that was a one-time opportunity because that was a time for you to work extra. You're going to miss opportunities with your family that was a time for you to pull away from work extra and focus in more for your family for that season because that's what was needed in that season. So yes, in the sense that if you neglect all of your relationships because you're a workaholic, you're not going to have many friends. If you neglect your family, you're going to lose your family. Same vice versa. If you're so for your family and time with your family, you're going to lose your job. So there is a balance there, but I would say that all of life is so much more of seasons and rhythms and discipline than it is a balance.
I hate the word balance.
I hate the word balance.
Here's why
I don't think it clearly defines what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so here's why I don't like the word balance. Because this is what it does, okay? Balance says, how do I keep?
How do I sustain this?
How do I keep this? How do I keep all this? How do I keep it? No. If that is what you're trying to do, trying to keep it, well, guess what? You start losing it immediately the moment you try and keep it.
You're always losing it.
Yes. So the idea for me is, it's less balance and more growth. Mm-hmm. Because if I try to keep what I currently have, I lock it down. I tie it up. I hold it back. But if the idea is growth, it's, well, how do I help you become the best version of you? How do I help this person that I love help become the best version of them and thrive? Well, see, if I help them grow, then I get to stay in their life longer and see them flourish. Flourishing and thriving those are growth concepts. Yeah. Balance is a sustain concept. And so you can only sustain inanimate objects, but life's not about inanimate objects, is it? Mm-hmm. Life is about things that are alive. Well, guess what needs to happen with things that are alive? They always need to grow or they will immediately go. Mm-hmm. That's the state. That's the truth about the world around us. If these plants don't keep growing, they start dying. Yeah. They start going. Yeah. Okay, so it's huge. It's a big deal for us to rethink what it means to balance, and let's stop trying to keep the things in our lives, and let's start trying to thrive. And what if we set the things in our life free? Yeah. How do I set you free? Yeah. I tell you to go be the best version of yourself. I do what you did earlier, and I practically speak encouragement and excitement and joy and future into your real life.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Then I get a better, closer friend.
Yeah.
And yes, you may leave me, meaning you may move away, but that doesn't mean I can't still be in your life.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't I want you to go experience and be all that you can become?
Absolutely.
That's freedom. That's joy. I don't raise my kids to stay in my home forever.
No.
I raise them to become all that they can become. As a father who sees the best in them. As a father who wants the most for them.
Mm-hmm.
Health happens in growth. Well, that's why it's seasonal. You don't know when the seasons are going to come too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that's why, I think one of the reasons that we struggle with balance is because we don't communicate well. Meaning
I agree. No, I agree.
Like with your wife and with my wife, it's like, oh, this is a week for me focusing on this first because this needs to thrive. Because this is a season or a week or a month of X. Well, if she's communicated well to, she won't be frustrated with your lack of time with her. She will know that time is coming.
Yep.
But there needs to be a time where you invest in that relationship and the relationship goes to a different level and thrives. And time is not necessarily about the quantity of time anymore. It's about the quality of time.
Agreed.
So then I'm thinking about how does this relationship grow instead of, oh, we just need to go on a date. Because what if the date's terrible?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, then I'm thinking about how to have the best date we've ever had instead of about we need to spend 4 hours. We need to go on a trip for 3 days. No. If I can't have the best single hour with her, then I can't expect to have the best 3 days with her.
Agreed. No, agreed.
So I'm very passionate about this thought. I don't know if you can tell.
I am very, very passionate about this thought too. Because the way you think about this affects every area of your life.
Sure, yeah. Hard times.
Hard times. So
how people come into hard times. How you invest in other people's hard times.
Yes. So one thought is when you're trying to balance something, my phone. When you're trying to balance something, you're focused on what?
Yeah, you're focused on it.
Trying to balance.
Yeah.
Trying to balance it.
Yeah, the weight.
You're focused on the weight and you're shifting. And then once you finally get it balanced, what happens? You get it balanced and what happens? Wind blows.
Yeah.
Something happens.
Yeah.
Somebody nudges you. It falls. And all of a sudden, oh no, I'm off balance.
You're
focused back on balance.
tightrope walker.
You're a tightrope walker. And so your attention then is focused on the metric of time versus the efficiency and the capacity that you have in that season. For example, some seasons in which you said communication, which I think is huge. Communication is huge. It's not balancing out one way. It's creating good boundaries through communication.
Well, so it's communication with inanimate objects as well as animate objects, as well as the things that we're managing. And it's either communication with the thing or with ourselves.
Yeah.
About like, oh, this is a time for this and not a time for that necessarily.
Yes.
It's priority shifting.
Mm-hmm.
So keep going.
No, I totally agree. But it is a shift in perspective to say, okay, it's not so much that, no, I can't help you with that project because from 5 to 9 is me time and I'm trying to balance my work-life balance. In this season, doing that extra work could fuel me and give me energy and excitement. And I actually, and really propel my future. And then I actually don't need in this season that much time to do some of these other things and vice versa. But it's helping. If you focus too much on work-life balance, then it's taking your attention off of the higher level conversations of things that actually matter. Like, what's your capacity in this season? What's your time in this season? What's your priority in this season? If your priority is career, okay, let's go unbalanced for a season. And then when we do have that time at home together, let's make it all it can be. We've identified it. We brought clarity to it. Now, instead of talking about balance, we're talking about vision. We're talking about priorities for the future. I see a lot of people get stuck on work-life balance, and it slows down their momentum in the areas in that season that they care about most. Because their attention's on the wrong thing.
Yeah, but dude, okay. We're talking about attention. We're talking about work-life balance. How be as direct as possible in this. How to have work-life balance? How do I have a work-life balance? What's the framework? How would you answer that question?
I would say you have to build a rhythm in your week if you're going to have work-life balance. Set the priorities and the goals that are most important to you. I just had a thought I'll come back to, because I believe that people say they want work-life balance, but in work they're not exactly doing the things that are being most efficient in their life. So come back to that. How do you take that first step in having a good work-life balance? You identify your priorities and your goals. So for work, what's my priority this week? You ask your boss, what's my priorities this week? What do you need? Yeah. How can I see your vision come to fruition? How can I champion the creative genius that you have? What do you want? Okay, great. You build that out in your calendar. You talk to your friends and you know, see what you need. If you don't have a family, you know, what do I need for this week? I really want to go on this hike. I really want to do this thing. I really want to hang with my friends on Thursday night. You build that vision out. You build an actual plan. Most people that I know don't even operate on a calendar. We were talking about budget earlier, but people that talk about work-life balance, a lot of them don't even operate on a calendar. Like, well, how do you even know what you care about and what you're prioritizing? So then you build that out. Then you say to yourself, okay, in this season with my capacity and with where I'm at, that feels sustainable for me in this season. Great. You've worked on your calendar. You're hitting your priorities with your boss. You know where the goals are there. You're hitting your priorities at home and your relationships, so you know you're there. And then I would say in that framework, you build flexibility for the unknowns. Something comes up at work, instead of saying, which it's a thing right now, and this is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, but I get it. But it's a thing right now, and it's like, hey, we got this thing that came up. Can you knock this out? Well, work-life balance. It's almost like the stamp on anything to get out of anything. And it's just like, well, no, like this doesn't happen often. This just so happened this week. Do it. People want the work-life balance when it comes to not showing up well for work, but they want the company and the business to respect work-life balance when they need extra time at home. No, but I got something at home. Would you want your employee to say, actually, no, you're supposed to be in work right now? Well, that wouldn't work that way. But yeah, people with the work-life balance idea are drawing lines the other way, saying, actually, no, don't come at my other time and ask for more. That's just something that I've noticed. I don't know if you've seen that or experienced that as well, but I would say it has to go both ways. For your employer, when you need that extra time to be able to say you want time with your family, they need to be able to also see that sometimes you also give a little extra time for the business and the vision of the company to see that that's fulfilled as well. Because they know that, like, hey, at the end of the day, I know they're prioritizing this as well.
I think you don't need to do that if you don't want more.
Well, I agree.
You don't
No,
need to,
I 100% agree with that statement.
Don't do more if you don't want more.
I 100% agree.
Easy. Chilling.
Maintain.
Casual. If you want more, well, guess what it's going to take? It's going to take you proving that you can handle more. That's it.
That's it.
And so for me, it's like, I don't, yeah, sure, it may be a pet peeve of yours, but I just don't think people want more. Yeah. See, I think that's why you're a good friend, is because you have a bigger vision for others than they have for themselves. Well, until they receive that vision and actually say, hey, I actually want that for myself too. Yeah. Then they don't really need to do much more. Yeah. But don't expect more to come into your life if you're not willing to become more than you currently are. You become more than you currently are if you're willing to put more effort and grow more and do more and receive the opportunity and see the opportunity as a blessing, not as a curse. Yeah. Not as a forced.
I agree.
And honestly, I've had a lot of people in my life take advantage of me when it comes to opportunity,
Yep. Same.
but I am taking advantage of the opportunity, and it lets me know that I actually have more capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, yes, I did something for them for free, or did something for them that they weren't thankful for, but guess what I also did? I learned a new skill.
Yep.
I served somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I could handle more. And then when the right person comes along that actually appreciates me for me, then I'm like, oh my gosh, look what's happened to me. I can actually, I'm not just juggling and tightrope walking. I'm standing on a firm foundation of a body of work that proves that I can become something greater than what I've been.
Yeah.
Changes everything for me.
Changes everything.
So that's the thing that happens when I think people are looking for confidence.
I agree.
And I think the thing that gives me confidence is a body of work that says, oh, you should be confident. You've actually put in the work to get to where you are. And you don't learn how to save $100,000 until you what? Do it. You can read all of the books. You can have all the concepts. It can be the thing that's on social media that people say, that's the, what is it, Charlie Munger, or I'm pretty sure he said that, or like one of the billionaires. They're like, hey, the hardest amount of money that's going to teach you the most amount of skills about finance, about saving, about how money works is $100,000. If you can do that, guess what? You will have the skill sets to be able to get to $1 million easy. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what is that when it comes to confidence? What is that thing? What is that amount of money, so to speak, when it comes to someone's confidence, in your opinion? So they're like this. Hey, Parker, I'm struggling with confidence in relationships, in life. I just don't have much of it. Help me. How do I get and gain confidence?
This is very simple. This is very simple, okay? Start now. Start small. Stay faithful. Start now. Start small. Stay faithful. Start now. Start small. Stay faithful. Just say it over and over and over to yourself. What is it that you need to start now that is something that is small that would build an extra layer of confidence in your life? Sports. Big sports guy. Football, basketball, you are too. Big sports guy. I was shooting basketball with my family. I used to play basketball. I used to be pretty decent. You know, I wasn't going pro or anything, but pretty decent baller. Could shoot. I haven't shot in years. I was going out there shooting basketball. I was missing everything. Everything. I went down at the bottom. You know the basketball drill? You used to practice these at camps. Put your hand all the way up. Extend your wrist. Pistol Pete style. Got a couple in. Okay. Took a step back. I missed a couple. Got one. I took a step forward. Did it again. Got a couple in. Took a step back. Took another step back. After about an hour, lights out, baby. Lights out. Lights out. Started small. I started small, and I just stayed faithful, and I just kept shooting. Once I started shooting, I was just, I got it now. I'm feeling good. I think if people want to gain confidence in their life, you can't say, I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow. No. You can't say, I'm paying off all of my debt next week. No. You say, I'm paying off this one credit card in 3 months.
Because you need the skill and the proof says you can. And because you have.
Yep.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Confidence is in the skill that gives you like, oh, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
I've done it before. And if I want to do it at scale, I must start small, and it grows from there. Mm-hmm. And if I'm out of the habit, and if I've had the skill before, I still need to start small again, like what you just talked about.
The things that I haven't done consistently, I'm not confident in. Think of that in every area of your life, from how you show up for your friends, to how you do in your job, to even your own personal time.
Yep.
how you do those things well consistently, well, you get better at it.
Right.
So much so that even like things that like when I needed personal time that I needed, 4 hours, if I'm intentional in that time, maybe now I only need 2 hours or 30 minutes to just really like reset my mind and reset my perspective. It's just like when you do things consistently and with intentionality, not just consistently, how many of it, you can do things consistently with no intentionality and it not make you better, but like with consistency and intentionality, that is the recipe for confidence. Consistency plus intentionality equals confidence in whatever it is you choose to do. Playing the piano, a new task at work as an engineer or a creative director, trying things out. Most people stop before they start to feel confident in something and start something else over again. Well, now that cycle continues and now you're not confident in anything. Stay consistent and intentional enough that you can build confidence. And I believe that people can be confident in a lot of things. Their interpersonal skills, confidence in their careers, confidence in their risk assessment of just being able to take big risks, which I'm a huge fan of. But you can become confident in all of those things, but you can't become confident in them if you're not failing, if you're not being consistent, failing forward with it, and if you're not being intentional in how you're doing it. Would be a thought that I have.
As you build community, people come to you with confidence questions all the time. They come to me with confidence questions. You're building community. So and they may not say hey, help me be more confident. But what they're asking you is, they're asking you questions to pour confidence into them so that they know what to do.
Yeah.
So they're trying to learn from skills, which is, I think, really key when it comes to confidence, is getting a coach. Well, so one of the most important areas that people come to you or to people with is hey, I'm looking for someone to commit my life to. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to find someone to go through life with. I want to start a family, but I'm struggling going on dates. I'm struggling finding someone that is actually worth talking to. Or I'm struggling. So someone's come to you recently. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's create the scenario. I know it's happened a lot.
It's a true story already.
Yeah, it's a true story. It's a true story for me as well. Okay, so here's the thing. Where do you begin with someone? How do people start dating better?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is something that I believe is plaguing the thoughts of a lot of people that I know and love really well. Is it even going to happen? I can say that it is a challenge for a lot of people that I have a lot of sympathy towards, and just recognizing that it's a strange world out there to be putting yourself out there and dating. Where do you even go? I walk into a bar full of people that I don't know and I start striking up conversations with people that I think are interesting. I don't know. What, a coffee shop or a nurture? I mean, maybe you come into here and you're striking up conversations. Why not? But even then, I don't think historically, I don't think environments has been the issue for people getting together or not getting together. I don't think it's been culture. I think one huge aspect of it is, you mentioned it, but confidence in putting yourself out there, and vulnerability in putting yourself out there with people, and being willing to take a chance that if this goes well, great, and if not, I'm still going to be okay. I see a lot of people unwilling to even take a chance to go on dates these days. And I don't know, maybe it's a generational thing, but people didn't hesitate, I feel like, when I was growing up, to date different people, to try different dates, to put yourself out there and to take.
Yeah, but that's because you're almost 40. I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to lie. That was a long time ago. I don't see a lot of people doing that now.
Right.
Even with the apps,
sure.
I still don't see a lot of people putting themselves out there, taking a chance on people. And so why is that?
Well, I think it's because we're not honestly, I think we're not being as honest as we could be or should be on those apps. I'm not an app hater at all.
Of course
I
not.
just don't think we're telling enough truth on those platforms.
I agree.
I think we're trying to be somebody that we think we have to be to get the person that we feel like we want to get to come into our life. But if you really knew that person and those types of people, you would realize that what they're looking for is actually the person that you need to marry is looking for you, not who you fake to be.
I agree.
Okay. I'm talking to you right now about a few hot takes on how to actually go on a date better. Because we could go in a bunch of different directions with this thought.
Oh, I love this. I
So,
already know what I'm going to say.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let me say one more thing before you go
Very
off.
passionate about. I've talked to a lot of people about this.
Same.
Very passionate.
Same. All right. Let me say this. I just want to encourage. This is an encouraging statement. You want a job. Let's say you want a job that pays you $100,000 a year, 6-figure job to 7-figure job. You'd be okay with something like that, probably. Okay. I think a lot of people are looking for something like that. You're working really hard to get there. And you're having a lot of jobs to maybe even get there one day. You're taking years of classes. You're working on a skill set. You're doing an incredible job of investing in yourself to one day, hopefully, get that job so that you could save up enough money to retire the way that you want to retire and to go on the trips you want to go on, to live without debt, to have the house, to have the family. Okay. Well, what makes you think that finding somebody to build a family with, to spend the rest of your life with, to stay together forever is any less important or should take less time or less skill set than a job? Okay. We just talked about work-life balance. Okay. So we spend this much time on work. Well, what makes you think that you're balancing your life if you're spending that much time on work and this little time on life? Stop expecting it to be easier than you think it should.
Yep.
That's actually a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So it's going to take more than I think it is. Well, yeah, because you want to stay with the person.
Stop saying you want it to just be organic.
Yeah. Why don't you be more intentional? Why don't you, or organic things happen in the forest. Well, there's no farmer there, But you don't just go around the forest eating all of the fruit in the forest.
Yeah.
Maybe poisonous.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like
organic is an act of God.
So let's.
You looking to go face to face with your wife, like bumping each other, serendipity style. I'm just saying.
No. But like that's cool too, though.
I mean, that'd be awesome. Yeah, great.
But serendipitous things happens when someone has the skill sets to see it.
I agree.
And someone to appreciate the serendipitous opportunity.
Agreed.
For what it actually is.
Yeah.
Oh, I see this person for who they are. Oh, this person is of value. Oh, I know how to treat this person. I know how to communicate to this person. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to dating, so we could talk about that for a long time. Will you elaborate on dating? Because I really want people to find someone to go through life with. Yeah, and I think dating is really, really important. What are your thoughts on how do I date better?
I would say I want to speak to the men and the women. I would say for the men, and I would love your thoughts on this as well. I would say for the men, you need to get the courage to actually ask a woman on a date. Maybe you haven't had anyone that has exemplified that for you. Maybe you haven't seen that before. But you need to just build up the courage, if there's somebody you're interested in, to walk up to them and say, I would like to take you out for dinner.
I think men need more no's. You need to get a body of work where you've been told no enough to where it stops bothering you.
I agree.
And be okay with a no. A no is great. You know why? Because you know where they stand. and you don't waste your time trying to build the no to a yes. Well, guess what? You don't need to date the person that says no because they're not ready to go on a date with you.
Yeah,
It's not that big of a deal. Guess what? You hear someone tell you no, great, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
No worries. Like no's are fine.
Yeah,
No's also, can I tell you this? No's aren't final either, by the way.
Those aren't final.
No's aren't final either. They just may not be in a space where they're ready to go on a date with you.
Come on.
Because there's too much stress in their life. Why don't we view this more positively?
Hey, just because it's a denial now doesn't mean it could be delayed.
They don't know who you're going to become.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a matter of time.
Growing.
It's just a matter of time.
And you're persistent.
Yeah.
Come
So don't stress about a no.
Yeah.
A no is just a start.
Yeah, no's a start.
And guess what? When they see you date someone else, it's like, oh man, maybe that person would be nice to go on a date with.
Whatever happened to like the forecasting vision of this no is going to be a part of our story we're going to tell our kids one day.
Oh yeah, not a
Come
big
on.
deal. If it is,
Catch a
great.
vision already.
That's funny. If it's not, no big deal.
But if it's not, you're okay too. You'll live.
No
You'll
big
both
deal.
live.
You-
They'll live. You'll live. Life goes on.
And it actually helps us in so many other areas of our lives.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's like, and so just even in work or anything. So okay, great. So let's work up the
To
courage.
guys, work up the courage.
Guys,
to ask.
keep
To
going.
the girls, be willing to say yes and give these guys a chance. So a lot of women in our community are waiting for a guy that currently doesn't exist. I've never met that guy. That guy, this very specific dude, and I would just encourage single females to be available to say yes and give guys a chance when asked as well. I mean, obviously there's more practicality as far as like putting yourself in environments as well where there are other single people that have shared values. If you're, Denver, shout out, the Brook. But I'm just saying, there's shared places where people have shared values you can put yourself in and give guys a chance. And if it doesn't go well, hey, this is a no for me. But why not at least give it enough of a chance to discover if it's a no or not? 1 or 2 dates. That's what I try to tell everybody. Get 1 or 2 dates in, and if after that, guy or girl, it's a no, that's great. Now you learned what you're maybe not interested in, or maybe you were actually liked them more than I thought, but maybe it's a no for now. Yeah. There's a few things I want them to work on.
Did you know that humans are a terrible judge of character?
Yeah, I mean.
Like terrible. You look at somebody, you think that they're this way, and they're not that way at all.
100%.
They're not that way at all.
So you sit down with them, yeah.
They're a terrible judge of character. Malcolm Gladwell came out with his book called Talking to Strangers. And he goes into depth on this idea of we are historically, phenomenally poor judges of character and type. And what this person looks like isn't who they are at all.
Yeah.
So I love that idea of giving somebody a chance. Why? Also, because if you don't go on a date, then you may never get another one. And also, if you don't go on a few, you may not learn who you need to be on one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's important for us to do this. And I think also, good luck finding a best friend that becomes a lifelong friend that you build a family with if you don't learn how to be a friend on the front end. Mm-hmm. Just be the friend.
Yeah.
It's okay to go on a date with a friend, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? If you are a friend and a best friend of the opposite sex, guess what? If you don't go on a date with them now, guess what? They're probably not going to be in the future once they have a new best friend that they call their wife or their husband. You're not going to be in their life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
Agreed.
you should probably think
I
that
agree with
through.
that statement.
Let's look at the outcomes that are probably going to happen. You're not going to be that close with him forever.
No.
If you're not willing to go on a date with him now.
Yeah.
And see where this could lead.
Yeah. Fast forward the.
And so I just think that's really, really important for us. Let's not be naive about this.
I agree. And I just want to make this practical.
Please.
Guys.
What are the 3 best things for someone to do on a date? Go there. 3 best things.
Okay.
Be practical. 3 best things that you're seeing hot take-wise are really important for us to do on dates.
this is, I've taught this for years. This is something that, I'm not new to this. This is something I'm coaching young men.
You're coaching it, but you're a practitioner.
I do this myself. I did it this last week with my wife, but I'm coaching men in, first of all, on the date, first date even, show a little of your emotional side. Talking to the men here. But it applies to the females as well. Show a little of your emotional side. You're a real person. And this is something that I'm feeling right now. This is I'm excited about this. Hopes and dreams. Go there. So show your emotional side. The next is think of some adventurous thing that you can incorporate into the date night. Doesn't have to be crazy, but some adventurous thing where you're creating a moment enough that you would laugh about it later. Could be something as simple as hopping on scooters riding through town. You know in advance that's going to happen. But I'm going to walk by those scooters and I'm going to mention, hey, you want to ride through town for just a little on these scooters? You want to go to this place? You want to go by a creek? Something. So show your emotional side. Have some level of adventure. Forecast a future for your life. Sow a seed. Doesn't have to be like, I want to start a family with you. That's weird. Don't be weird. But make it simple in the sense that, what's the vision for your life? You ask them and then you say, I have a vision that I really want to see this happen in my future. That's going to let that person know, okay, do I see myself in that vision? But if you're really good, you got to sell what that vision looks like, and don't put them in the vision, but allow just enough opportunity there for them to say, I kind of want to be in that vision. And then the last and fourth one is the most important, but you got to go at who you are spiritually and what matters most to you. And if there's not that connection there, then you already know for both parties, okay, I mentioned how God is first in my life. That person didn't reciprocate at all. We're probably not going to continue this past this date. Yeah. Or if there's a reciprocation that says, oh, that's great. I was just reading in the Word this morning and this is what happened. You're like, okay, we're having fun. We're getting serious, but we're having fun. I'm starting to see that there's some things that we align with in the future. And then also there's some things foundationally that we agree on. So those are the things. Emotional, adventure. Then you got to have some, is this good? Are you feeling this? Is this an alignment? You got to cast some future.
You're good. Yeah.
And then you got to have some foundation for the future. Is this, what do you say to
this?
No,
this is
phenomenal. I do this still with my wife. I practice this still with my wife.
Yeah, I would say.
I'm telling, even for the future, I'm like, baby, can you see us on the beach in a house? Come on. Are you seeing the San Clemente, here we come? What year do you want to do that in the future? Yeah. When we're 45, 50? What?
No, I'm with you. Okay.
You're a great dater. I want to hear you. You're good at this.
Oh, man. It's not because, I think it's not because we are dating a lot of people, but obviously we're trying to stay dating our wives.
100%.
Right? That's the point.
Just
and
as
so
intentional
I
as
think
when
you got to keep exactly. And so you got to keep that. That's why you got to stay fresh.
Yeah. So
here's a few distractions, and here's how I would couch it. And I would say I'd like to. I'll give you four of mine.
Okay.
So 4 things of mine.
Come
as
on.
Well as
where's my phone? I feel like I'm about to take notes.
I'll give you 4 of mine, and some of them line up with yours. I would just say them differently. So I think we're speaking together in this.
Yes,
okay.
We are. Yeah.
First, prepare.
Prepare. Come on. Okay.
I think if you care, you will prepare.
Ooh,
and so if you care, you'll prepare for everything in life. So if you want to be attracted to the person that you're about to go on a date with, are you attractive? Are you doing the simple things that are physically healthy for you to do? Haircut, shower, shave, sleep. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to add another one that most people aren't thinking about. Stop getting dopamine kicks. So I would say spend time off of devices before you go on a date. Okay. Because if you're looking for a emotional connection, you need to stop feeding your dopamine addiction.
Centers, yeah.
Because
I agree.
what really needs to happen is you need to be alive on the date.
Mm-hmm.
You need to
Present.
be awake and present. You need to put your phone on airplane mode.
I
You
agree.
need to not look at your phone on it. But we need to prepare ourselves for it. So that one of the ways we prepare ourselves for it is starve ourselves of it. And you need to stop letting that thing be
I love that.
the relationship that you have with someone. Because we have relationships with our devices.
I agree.
And we need to, if we want a romantic relationship, and if we want a relationship that actually we're investing in, we need to stop investing in the thing that's trying to steal our attention, right?
Yeah. I agree.
If we want to give attention, we only have so much. We need to stop giving it to the things that aren't going to give it back to us.
I agree.
But they're trying to take it from us. Okay, prepare.
Wow.
Simple things.
Jeez.
But
that's
let's
great.
prepare. If you'll prepare if you care. Which also, we need to look at, like, if someone's prepared, then they do care. So see that as well. That's important on the date. So you're on the date. Or you're
That's
thinking,
why I mentioned the scooter in
Yeah.
advance.
yeah.
You're thinking of this.
No,
stuff.
we're thinking similarly. That's what I'm saying. I would just talk about it just
I love
a
that.
little bit differently.
Prepare.
I call this next one, I call this what type of date do you want to go on? Is it a date worth forgetting, or is it a date worth remembering? Well, you will remember something that you have emotionally connected on. For example, are you more likely to remember a date that is on a stone bridge or a rickety bridge?
Stone bridge, unless the bridge falls in and you both go in the water, then that could be memorable too.
So stone bridges are not very memorable because there's no emotion attached to it. A rickety bridge, you are a little bit of afraid, you're a little unsure,
Yes.
you're a little excited. I don't know what's about to happen here. So having a date that is worth remembering
Yeah.
doesn't have to cost a lot,
Yeah.
but both of you maybe have an emotional connection
If
over
they're asking
something.
themselves the question, I think, are we going to die in this experience? That is very memorable.
That
I
is
think
very,
that's fantastic.
that's very memorable. But we also don't want to scare somebody, and we don't want to put somebody in life or death situations.
But, yeah,
It's
I
okay to
agree.
take someone on a rickety bridge that other people have used. It's more of a
I like
metaphor,
it. I
not
like it,
actually
though.
taking people on the thing.
Go
no.
find a rickety bridge.
No, do something maybe that's going to cause you to have a little bit of an excitement or
I agree.
fun
I love that.
or joy or just be worth remembering.
Yes.
It could be a sunset that's like, whoa, that's powerful. It could be an overlook that's cool. I'm
Yes.
out on like a lookout type of mountain, or it could be I've done this before. I know the manager of this hotel. He's going to let me have the rooftop view of this sunset. What if I orchestrated? Like, just be intentional and like
Yes.
do some fun things. So it's the rickety bridge concept, which goes to like doing
that.
something that's memorable. Third thing I would say is just because you're putting a lot of work in your work doesn't mean you need to come with a resume to the rest of your life.
Ooh, I love that.
So stop like treating dates as resumes.
You're preaching.
Like, who cares
Yeah.
of all the stuff? This isn't a resume.
No.
This is a friendship.
Yeah.
This
great.
is like
It's not a job interview.
they must be able to see themselves
Yeah.
as friends with you, even though you get put in the friend zone all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that.
No.
Okay, they're saying that because they don't want a relationship with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to romance. It's an easy, like, just see it for what it is. It's okay. They just want you to be around their life. They don't want you necessarily in their life fully
Yeah.
for the rest of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's okay. So like, see it for what it actually is. And so stop treating dates as resumes.
Yeah, it's great.
That's not what it is. And so in the preparation, we can actually think through and we can actually have an experience. And you can make an emotional connection without saying very much.
True.
You can.
Yeah, I agree.
You can have an emotional connection without saying much at all.
Yeah, I agree.
An experience, something interesting. And then the fourth thing that I would say that goes with your like vision is know the direction you're trying to go with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, that's great.
friendships and relationships, all of them are built all of them that last are built off of a direction that you guys are going,
Agreed.
not really based off of where you've been, but even though where you've been does set up for where you're trying to go, but vision and direction is what inspires us to say, I'd love to see. I'd love to talk more about this. I have more questions about why you're trying to go there or what you're seeing or what you're trying to do to get there. I'd like to be on that journey with you. So direction actually helps because it's like, oh man, I'd actually like to go there too. Maybe we should be friends. Maybe we should go on another date.
Yes.
Maybe we should talk more about this. Maybe I can they envision themselves joining you on that journey? And do you have a journey worth them joining?
That's a huge question.
Those are the 4 things that I would say. If you can keep having amazing dates. I can keep having an amazing date with my wife. You can keep having an amazing date with your wife. If we just simply keep doing this over and over and over again, and we can keep outdoing ourselves just a little bit more and more, not because we spend more money.
Yeah, it's not about that.
But because we see them more purely and we allow them to see us more purely and authentically.
I love
So yeah,
that.
man.
Just for your fans.
Just the people on the journey with us.
Just for the people on the journey with us.
People on the journey with us.
People on the journey with us. Very practically, my first date, I asked Jess. I knew she was training for a marathon. So I said, hey, you want to go on a run with me? Adventure.
Also, you opted in for something that she was doing.
I opted in for what she was a part of.
Which is really,
Yes.
that's a huge thing because she had a direction and a goal that she was trying to accomplish. You came in alongside something she was already doing. Yes.
I want to go on a training with you. And I said, I want to hear more about why you're going on this run and the vision that you have for it, because she was raising money for a nonprofit. So I was interested in her. I joined her, what she was doing. It was an adventure. On that, I just said, how's it going in your life? How you feeling? Shared that while we were running. And then I said, what's your plans for the future? I asked her, then she asked me, shared the plans for the future. This is all the first day. I told her about my plans for ministry, talked about some spiritual stuff. Both of us would say, even after, it's just the first date, but like you can cover a lot of ground in that intentionally. Both of us would say we had a hunch that we could potentially see ourselves together one day.
And then 3 days later, they were married.
And then, it moved fast. But I'm just saying, it's not, and that's not always the case. But
No,
I am
it's
saying,
not. Oh my
I've been
gosh.
on a lot of dates where that wasn't the case. I'm just sharing that,
Sure.
like my wife. But it costed me no money.
No.
I love that you pointed that out, that like the person that I'm married to today, our first date costed me $0. And even like the second date was $0. Like, don't let even like a big moment or an expensive dinner or something like that prevent you from doing something significant with somebody where you call it a day.
Sometimes it ruins it actually because then you're putting a lot of pressure on it to be the thing that you spent the money for. And it's
Agreed.
like, look, chill out on that.
I agree with that.
That's actually not the most important thing. I was thinking, I think as we kind of wrap this up, what's really important for us as humans is to value each other as like genuine humans and people. As you think about like this conversation that we've had, what is something really, really important that everyone should be thinking about? Based off of the world that they're in, it could be based off of overcoming difficult things, hard times, or whatever. What's something that we should be thinking about?
I said it kind of in the middle after we talked about a lot of the things with overcoming difficulty and struggles and who you have speaking into your life. And I think if I was going to narrow down a lot of our conversation to one thing, it would be, do you know your identity? Relationships, having a vision for your future starts there. Working through difficult times starts there. Putting people around you. If you don't, love yourself, how can you love others? There's even still kind of this, on all of these conversations, there's a level of knowing who you are. And so if I was going to encourage somebody, I would have them ask that question of themselves, who am I? But then I would ask them to take it one step further, and I would say, whose am I? And I would encourage your listeners and the people on the journey with us to say, at the end of the day, does my life have meaning, and does my life have purpose, and why? And if it does, then why? And my hope would be that they would get to the point to where they would say, I am valued. I have significant purpose because I was created by God. I have significant vision and unlimited vision for my future because God has wired me so special and so unique, and he's given me this big vision for my future to serve and love him and serve and love other people. And so that would be my greatest encouragement would be, don't stay stuck in where you are in your own head trying to wrestle through these questions on your own, but take all of these questions specifically around your identity and go to God and bring people around you on the journey that'll help you on that walk of life, but also walk of faith.
I love it. I love it because it's practical and we're trying to help people take some steps. It's a phenomenal conversation. I had a lot of fun.
Me too.
And I always enjoy our conversations. But I thought today was unique in that you started off getting to a point of where we talked about something that really meant a lot to you, and then we just stayed in that vein.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that's the type of conversations that if you're looking at having and you're still here with us, like what we have just done, we don't need mics to do. We didn't need mics to do this. We didn't need these cameras. We didn't need these lights. We needed this space. We just needed each other and wherever we were going to be.
Yeah.
And I think you did a great job. We did a great job, specifically you. Did a great job modeling the type of relationships and conversations that we can have. And that's the aim, is that let's apply, let's carry, and then let's keep having this type of thing.
Yeah. Nothing's off the table.
No, gosh, let's not. And let's keep growing and going together. So thank you for joining us on the Full Vantage podcast today. This was a special episode.
Yeah.
And
to be on here.
round 2
I know.
of on the pod. So amped about this. And I can't wait to see what happens next, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hear the stories of people's lives. Comment or ask questions if you guys have any to us. We'd love to talk more about those or think about them with you. So yeah, let's go. Have a great day. Full Vantage podcast. Parker Manuel episode, round 2.
Love you guys.
See you guys later. Have a great day.